I'm excited, Ken, to chat with you, and thanks for spending some time with the One Life community.
Thanks so much for having me, Hector. Appreciate it.
So let's get right into, kind of your story. We were talking before we went live a little bit about, we were talking about the path that you got here and how and why you have a ton of businesses. You're a real estate investor. You have a team, a laundromat. You have you just launched this brand new app. You're just starting a whole new fitness kind of brand. So catch us up on kind of who Ken Wimberly is and why you've decided to spend and devote your time towards money and investing lots of energy into creating this new app to help families be able to capture their memories in a way that they can save and eventually leave on and give to their kids in a really cool way.
Sure. So first of all, who Ken Wimberly is father, husband. It's my two greatest roles are that of husband and father, and I've got three wonderful children. I've got a 16-year-old daughter, Grace. My son Knox will be 15 here in a couple of weeks, and a 3-year-old son Kai, and married to Amber, girl of my dreams. And so I am blessed to, I guess, have the awareness to be really appreciative of those roles as husband and father. That's not always been the case for me, and it's certainly not the case for a lot of people out there. So I am, as you kind of mentioned, a little bit of a serial entrepreneur. I have a lot of businesses. I tend to be a starter of things. Meaning I need to get people in place to help me run them once we get up and running. As of right now, we have a commercial real estate team, a residential real estate team that Amber runs. We have a Keller Williams franchise, working on launching a second Keller Williams franchise. We have an investing company that invests with other partners into commercial real estate. And we just launched, we just started construction on our first of what will be many, we hope, laundromat facilities. Have a chain of laundromats called Laundry Love. Laundromats with a mission where we'll go into the communities where we're located and help lift up the customers that we serve by hosting, say, Dave Ramsey Financial Peace, from bringing in the SCORE program, teaching people to launch a small business, bringing in folks at tax time to help our clients with their taxes, and even bringing in tutors to help kids to read. And we have a kids play area in all of our laundromats, and we're hoping that this is a big hit with location number one, and we can do it over and over and over again. And then, as you mentioned, Legacy of Love is our also kind of coinciding with Laundry Love, our most recent endeavor. And it's a parent-to-child journaling platform that it's actually person to person. So it can be grandparent to parent, it can be parent to child, grandparent to child, but it's a person to person journaling platform that allows for a digital place to capture memories, leave lessons, and really leave, think of it as a modern day scrapbook, a place to save all these little things and little moments that happen in life and pass them on to your children. And that started as just a simple process. I just started journaling to my own children when Grace, who's now 16, she was 1 year old, and Knox was still in the womb. And I just wanted something I could do to slow down and save the moments of our lives and just slow down and appreciate them. Because I know even back then, like now, we're bombarded with data, but all the social media that's out there, just the digital landscape that we have, our mobile phones, our tablets, there's data coming at us. Think about it on your mobile phone. I don't know about you, but on mine, I probably have 2,000 pictures on my mobile phone, and it becomes noise. And so way back then in 2003, I just wanted some place where I could slow down and capture moments. And luckily, I chose a digital platform. I really thought between handwriting it in journals or doing it digitally. And I just started with a Word document. And fortuitously back then, I started each journal entry with the date and the child's age and my age. And that way, later on, they could read these entries with context of what was happening at the different stages of our lives and how old we were. Like I was 2 years old and Dad was 35, and how kind of cool would that be to look back on that? And because as I started this, the whole intent with the journaling to my kids was that I would do it very privately, and that at their high school graduation, I would gift it to them as 18 years of your life through my eyes. And so now we're 15 years into that. I'm 3 years away from Grace graduating high school, and it will be my gift to her. So she's aware of it now, but she's never read any of the entries. They're still very much my private heart-to-heart entries for them.
Yeah, it's amazing because we were talking as well before we hopped on that I just had an 8-month-old son, and he's doing all these things and he's having all of these milestones, and how important it is to be able to go back and not only for the parent to be able to have some sort of way to access them, but then to be able to give that to the kid in a way that they can now take is I think a really powerful blessing for a lot of families. So let's, you've been doing this for quite a bit, and you have users already, and the app is up and running, and it's a very cool interface. It's a really cool kind of product. But I'm curious, before we talk about some of the features, what are some of the things that you've seen, with your family or with some of the people who have experienced the app, and what are some of the benefits that you see actually have on the family, the relationship between the parent and kid, or between grandparent and son? What are some of those things that are coming out of it?
It's interesting. Even long before I actually produced the app, I've been sharing what I've been doing with journaling, just the process of journaling with parents for many, many years now, and just encouraging other parents to do something similar for their kids. And I've had so many that had started that process, and they've reached out to me. They've just shared, like they've taken pictures of their journal entries and sent them to me, and just said, Ken, this is so meaningful to me because I'm slowing down, taking the moment to write this down, to know that I'm going to remember this forever, and that my children will see this, and that they'll know that these are my words of love to them. And that, to me, that's the thing that warms my heart, because other parents just becoming even more intentional, right? Because we all think we're going to remember this forever, that your kid does something just awesome or cute or funny, and think you're going to remember it forever. And this is a way to slow down, capture it, and truly keep it forever. And that your children can then one day read about how in awe you were about them as a child. So for me, that's been a gift to me to see that kind of reaction from a lot of other parents.
It is really important to take those measures, because a lot of times we're moving, and although there's this kind of this dichotomy, I think is the best way to put it, of being present, but then wanting to capture and save that moment. And right now, a lot of parents are forced to, if they want to create some place where they can save them, they're forced to put them on Facebook or Instagram, or they're forced to place them in places where it's not private, and it's not intimate, and it's not it's not one-to-one. It's putting out there for the rest of the world. So why did you find that it was important for parents and families to be able to have a place that was private and intimate, to be able to share and connect with these memories?
I've actually had a lot of people approach me about concern of putting those things on social media, but because it's not private, even if they created a private group or a private setting between them and their child. But I've had some techie people that have really kind of reviewed the terms of service, and like, this is not in fact private, and what we're putting on here, the data can be used in different ways. And so my personal experience was always very private, in a Word document, that's super private, but it's also super vulnerable to, if I had a computer crash or something happened, that could just disappear. And so what we've created is a very private community, or it's actually a private account where people can log these moments and journals. That is triple backed up. It's actually on Amazon web servers, so it's got redundant backup across the nation here for security for people. So now I'm thankful that my own data that I've transferred into the Legacy of Love now is secure and backed up, and online so that I can access it at any time.
And so what sort of, I think it's unfortunate for people who are either listening to this on a podcast and it's only audio, or, watching this live because they just get to stare at our ugly mugs here. But
Yeah.
what are some of the features that make it unique and make it different than just posting on an Instagram feed or going through, and you're creating a Facebook group? Because what I really love is that the interface is really cool and allows you to do lots of cool things. So you probably do a better job than I could.
Yeah.
What are some of these things that they can do?
Sure. One of the coolest things is you set up your account. You'll set up a profile for you personally, entering your birth date and your personal details, and then a profile for each of your children or people you're going to be journaling to. And the system, every entry you create, the system automatically creates a log of course, the date and the time that the entry is being created. And then it creates your age and your child's age for this entry. So much like you look like you're looking at one of your children right now. so your age and your child's age, and yay! And so then it documents the ages in there, and then you can insert photos into here. So kind of telling, pictures are such a great way to tell a story, but pictures alone don't tell it. So it's the photos along with the text and your words and what's going on in those pictures. Then we can also insert video into it. And that's been really, really cool way you can either upload a video that was previously recorded, or you can record it live right there. Same thing with an audio file. So you can record an audio file and, use your voice to leave a message to your children. Also, I was talking to a lady about that, the program this week, and she said, she just lost her father to cancer recently, and had said that, during his battle with cancer, he had sent her just a bunch of voicemail messages and left her a bunch of voicemail messages about how much he loved her. And she said it was just such a treasured thing for me. She goes, I lost him. I don't know what happened, but I lost all of these voicemails and I wanted to keep them forever. And this is a way now we can forward those little voicemails that mean so much to you and save them forever. The example from Knox when he was little, he's almost 15 now. But I remember some of the first voicemails he would leave me there, just the sweetest little kid voice. And he'd leave me the nicest little messages. And I wanted to keep them forever. And I have no idea where they are, right? I got lost in some phone upgrade a long time ago. Well, this is a way we can forward voicemails into the program, save them forever, and then write a note about how special it was. And, maybe I was having a mediocre day and then I got this voicemail and it just brightened everything up and totally turned everything around. And I like to tell the story in the context of that with what we're doing there. And then one of my absolute favorite features of the program we created is a milestone feature. So what we did is give the ability to tag any entry as a milestone. And so I'll use my 3-year-old son, Kai, as an example. The first entry we have tagged for him as a milestone was his sonogram, months before he was ever born. Then the next entry was the day he was born. And then from there, the next entry of the milestone, right? The next milestone was the day he rolled over. And then it was the day he started walking with a walker, and then walking without a little walker. And we just kind of have tagged these milestones all the way along. And it creates a visual kind of timeline representation of the major milestones in one's life. So think of it as the modern day growth chart, right? Our parents used to, like, when you stand up against a wall and measure our height in a growth chart. And this is like that plus, because it's not just milestones like height. It's all these important little things in our life, like first day of kindergarten, first date, first prom, all these big little things, like for my older kids that are happening right now. And that, to me, I just treasure being able to look at that. The other thing, you start having a couple of kids or 2 or 3 kids, I couldn't remember looking back. I didn't remember. When did Grace lose her first tooth? I don't know. If I didn't have that down there as an entry that I had made to save that, I didn't remember when they lost their first tooth, when they got potty trained, when they started doing all these things on their own. And this is a way to kind of look back and remember all those big and little details.
Yeah, it's so valuable because, I'm thinking about that right now, and that it's such a it's so great to have a place where those can actually live and where those can be housed. My mom, we went back to her house, and she was watching the baby for a night, and she actually went out and pulled out the old baby book, and she just so happened to have found it and stumbled upon it as they were moving boxes in the back. And it was really cool for me, get kind of going through the book and reading these entries. And what's
Yeah.
cool is you've made it really easy for that to be done, but in a way that kids these days are actually going to really engage with and be able to utilize. So can you talk a little bit about what you can do once you're kind of, once you've either decided to stop tracking them as these miles,
Sure.
give it to the kid, like you made that handover process, really, really cool. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So output on this is three ways. First, as digital output. So for an HTML file, so when you're kind of finished, you're like, okay, my kids are growing. I'm not really going to journal anymore, and I want to give the output. Three ways. One is an HTML file that will allow all of the video and the audio and everything to be captured, so that they can look through and scroll through everything naturally in beautiful HTML and just as it was kind of written in the program. Another digital is PDF format, right? So that it can be kind of sent easily and shared with anyone else pretty easily. But the third, and the way I've always envisioned giving this to my own children, is through a beautiful bound book, or depending on how many journal entries you made, it may be a series of books. But what I always envisioned was like when I grew up living with my mom, we had this huge Bible in the hallway, and I mean it was like this thick, and it was, I don't know, 12 to 15 inches big. I mean, it was really, really huge Bible, and it was always kind of open, and so I've always had that picture in my mind as the output that I'd like for this to be. So a large printed, beautifully bound book, that's a printed copy that can be given to them. And so we got a variety of formats. So we're actually exploring some relationships with different vendors right now, because I want like the top quality book that is going to produce this material.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how that came as an inspiration to me. You were just sharing that your mom finding the baby book, right? And you being able to dig through the baby book. When I turned 30, my stepmom gave me the most beautiful gift to this day that I've ever received. She gave me a leather-bound, beautiful scrapbook of 30 years of my life. And like the first photo in there is my baby photo. And then it's pictures of me with my cousins, some of whom are no longer living, and pictures of us on our family road trips, and stories of when we broke down on the side of the road and had to change the flat tire, and stories of when she had hooked me in my arm with a fishing hook when we were fishing. And it was just amazing. And that meant so much to me to receive that. And I've looked at it, just hundreds of times. I've sat there and looked at it. And a number of years later, she passed away, lost her battle with cancer. And that today is a living testimony to her love, and that time she spent creating that and bringing that to me, just it meant the world. So what I am hoping with Legacy of Love is that it's the similar type of reaction that people will feel when they get years and years worth of love gifted to them through this program.
Yeah. So this is fantastic, and I think that you're providing giving real value, because being a parent, it's a much needed. I mean, we need help. It's basically easy.
Yes, we do.
We need help anywhere we can, and the world is changing, and so it's cool to have a place like this where it's backed up and stored, and all of these kinds of things. I'd love for you to share what you feel is the vision or the future of Legacy of Love, because I know what's cool is that there's already a small community that's brewing, and there's already this kind of movement that's happening, just because parents are deciding to capture these memories. So what is the future of the app? What is the future of the brand? And what does the future of Legacy Love look like?
Yeah. So, well, today we just released the web-based version of the program a little over a month ago. So February 11th, we released the web-based version, almost 2 months now. And here in the next 2 weeks, we should be going live with the iOS and Android app versions, and then the phone apps. And then a couple weeks after that, we should have the iOS and Android tablet apps coming out as well. So then it'll be truly cross-platform. And like I said, the community's growing. We're getting subscribers every day coming in, and getting people approaching us and just really excited about it. And so the long-term vision is that we grow this and are able to impact and help as many families as possible. I would love to see in the next 5 years that we're able to impact 10 million families out there. And so I want to just reach across the globe. It's interesting. We have our first subscriber from Australia already, and who actually found us on a podcast. And so it's amazing where this can go, and the folks we can touch with this. And I want it just to be an inspiration for parents to be just a little more purposeful and to slow down a little bit to savor those moments and not let them just slip on by.
Yeah.
And this is my life. This will be, I've now with a 3-year-old child, I've got 15 more years of parenting in the home, and I love it. And I want to be heavily involved in everything Legacy of Love throughout that entire journey of his childhood.
Well, I appreciate you and a lot of other people in the One Life community that are setting the example of what an engaged dad can be. I think that the previous generation, and I love my dad, but it was just a different time and a different culture of what was accepted and what was cool and what was the model dad. And so people like you are really changing the changing the culture, really. And I think our kids are going to benefit a ton from it. And it's only I can't imagine what that type of ripple effect will have on future generations, where
it makes me so happy to see, like, you as a dad, and so many of our mutual friends that I see as dads, and how involved and proactive they are, and how everyone just wants to jump in and help, right? We want to help our wives, we want to help the family, and now with so many of our friends even homeschooling, right, and really jumping in and teaching their children, it's a cool thing to see. And so I'm happy to be alongside you and all these other amazing dads as we endeavor this journey.
Well, this conversation was a real privilege, because I'm excited to dig in and personally start using the app, because I was talking to my wife about we need a place to capture these things, and I'm not gonna write it on a piece of paper, because I do have that fear of what's going to happen. And so it's great that it's going to be a place that's stored. So where do they go? You mentioned that the apps are coming out soon. So if you guys are catching this live, you guys probably have a few, a little while before that comes out. But if you guys are catching this on the podcast, it may be out by now. So where do they go to find out more about the app?
Sure. You can go to legacyoflove.app to learn all about it. Legacyoflove.app. And also we'll put a link in the show notes here. And in fact, if anyone from the One Life community, it's a free product. It's a freemium product, right? So we have a free version, and there's some paid subscriptions for additional features in the program. If anyone wants one of the upgraded plans, use the discount code ONELIFE, and it'll get you 20% off any of the upgraded plans as well.
We appreciate that. That's very helpful. So it's in the description there on the live video, and will also be in the notes. It's legacyoflove.app. Everything is spelled the way it should be, so you should be able to just type that right into your browser. And there is a free version, and then if you use the discount code ONELIFE, you get a little discount in there as well. Anything else, Ken? I know you have a lot of things going on. So any last words of thoughts, wisdoms, action items that you want to leave with the One Life community before we get out of here?
Let's talk fitness for a minute. So I'm big into fitness right now. So if I was going to give I say right now, it's been a journey of mine for about 7 years now. And if I would encourage the One Life community to do something, it's take control of our health as well. We get one body in this life, and I've just seen too many of my own family members that have not taken care of that body, and we've spent a lot of time in hospitals over the last few years. And so I want to encourage everyone to really understand their health and wellness and take charge of it, because it's up to us to take control and to put healthy foods into our body and to exercise those bodies.
How beautiful that we have those opportunities. So guys, go connected with Ken, and make sure that you guys subscribe to the podcast. Come hang out with us in the Dream It, Plan It, Live It community. And if you guys have not registered for the conference tickets prices go up next week. So make sure you guys are registered so you guys can come hang out with us in Southern California this October. Legacyoflove.app, go get it. And thanks again, Ken, for spending some time. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Hector. Thank you.